What do you know? Whose weight are we really pulling? The upcoming solar eclipse in Leo encourages us to look honestly at the areas of life asking for our attention. Expect health, creativity, worth, relationships, and identity to all come under the spotlight, revealing where change is already underway. As we remember, the greatest transformations come from returning to who we have yet to allow ourselves to be. It's not what I hoped for, planned to write about, but nevertheless, it is what I've always deep down, somewhere inside, known. Having started this blog on the witty connection around my decision to buy a sports car, linking it back to a time as a midwife when I had it all, the ease and grace of repetitive stories regarding going after what I want and respecting my worth just didn't cut it. Because underneath everything, being avoided, was the very energy, version, growth, and potential, vision needed not only to make it possible, but receive this truth. My own, of myself. Which has left me a little scattered this morning. Much as I knew, really. I think I wanted to believe I was making it up. Desiring, feeling, sensing something deep inside that was a little dramatic. But the truth is, I've seen this for some time. And reading into the results in black and white, I didn't even realise my GP was testing me for, has brought it all right here, right now, to this moment. As I watch every other timeline, direction, choice, culminate exactly where they were always going to. Visible in the hindsight, inner sight, and now foresight of alignment. The united service moving constantly, so often confused or manipulated for more favourable outcomes, that inevitably, regardless how we may feel about it, has its own destination. Beyond my current preferred actions, that's for sure, that will continue to show me I'm exactly where I need to be, whilst at the same time preparing me for not knowing completely where that may lead. Because this is the next stage of life that has always ironically been available through presence. Held in the unknown darkness of potential, waiting for the light of clarity to return. Change. What I do know, however, is the pain of blocked cycles, overproducing, and scarcity of my own recognition within the life force that I connect with can no longer, physically, it would seem, continue. Encouraging me instead along a journey I've subconsciously been aware of for some time. Recently, seeing my own mortality while sleeping, the birthing of my first red drum, purchasing chrome figurines and running Mary Magdalene events. Yesterday, in quite shocking health news and the subsequent choices that will be required to remove what has been pulling in me for as long as I can recall. Several years ago, receiving a wealth of information during the pandemic regarding elder initiations for many, the rise of a not new, but forgotten feminine power within the earth herself that would speak through us all. Last night, in my dream time, fighting, supported by universal law, to claim the skin of the wild wolf totem I have shared many decades of medicine with as my own. And of course, my decreasing tolerance for patterns that are not only outdated and no longer relevant to where I am or the healing that has occurred, but ultimately restricting many the same transformation, dishonouring the work put in around worth, physical connection, reciprocity and creativity. But moreover, past the potential midwife crisis of wanting a sports car, affluent lifestyle and radical haircut, I found myself returning to the child I once was. The inner wild, Salka, undomesticated light that from a young age, less wounded, knew this world, often unseen, as great magic spoke for those that could slow down inside enough to listen. Where I remember first hearing her, in the trees, watching her dance on the waves in the sea, feeling her in the animals around me, fearing her unnoticed energy in the repressed voice of so many women I love, witnessing her heartbreak in the frustrated tears of my grandmother for the world she would leave behind, and realizing that this morning, waking to the same anxiety or apprehension I did all those years ago, I can finally see her, this luminosity I've always known, in the darkness of my own reflection. The change, cronehood, transformation, death. The eclipse of what was, and with the help of a new corona, halo or ring of light, the crown in of what shall now come, by simply remembering what I've always known, deep down into the blood of my veins, who I was destined to be, in her eyes. Something we are each being encouraged less than gently to feel into this week, with both the masculine sun and feminine moon held in this Leo-Aquarius axis, shadowing each other. We can expect the effect of anything now rising to build over the next 6 months, particularly around long-term change, confidence, creativity, and work, as its encouragement to discover our own unique identity will not only uncover hidden creative powers specific to the individual, but demand a conscious effort to be more loving towards any personal issues by simply receiving some necessary honesty from ourselves. Because we cannot lie to the heart or deceive the soul, the body, the integrated feminine of any dreams, hopes, and realities, regardless of their perceived dimensions, holds this spiritual core. If we want more progressive shifts in our lives to deliver the potential we know ourselves to be capable of, we must look at why this hasn't happened, truthfully. There will be clues, of course, if we reflect back to 2018, 1999, 1980, or, for those that can remember, 1961, for this particular placement in Leo. That being said, if you want the full picture of the complete axis, think back to 2008, 2009, and 1998 to 2000. And from here, look at how well you expressed your needs during these times. Has that actually changed? What or who, then, is really undermining any goals or corrections that may be unmet? All things to ponder on as we evaluate how to move forward in sharing our talents, gifts, wisdom, and, let's face it, sovereign selves many claim to be. Because only in reconnecting to this inner light, away from anything that overshadows it, draining our essence or authenticity, will we let go of what no longer supports us, allowing it instead to transform into something that can, inevitably releasing the past with forgiveness, including the versions of ourselves we may be holding on to. Now, this doesn't mean they never mattered, but that a new cycle is upon us where they coexist and create together from a more unified space of service, empowering the setting of intentions that are aligned honestly with passion and personal goals for the directional desires they always were, provided, of course, we are willing to enjoy the necessary growth and potential removal of its restriction this brings. Calling us each to step into leadership by simply being more visible in our own personal and professional lives to ourselves, during this time we can expect, or rather should actively seek, transformation. Eclipses are life-changing, and often naively feared or avoided because of this. So, that health check being put off, get it seen to. The relationship out of balance, have the conversation. A job that devalues you, question its, not your own worth. Like the sky around us, we are being encouraged to pause and take a moment to reflect on areas that actually need resolution. It may not be the conveniently obvious. And resolve to, resolve them. If we want to release self-doubt, old patterns, and limiting behaviours, which, with Chiron retrograding into Taurus on the 3rd, has now become essential to the times. But that does suggest working with, not against, what is being presented, keeping in check any victim mentality whilst honouring the rising often repressed emotions behind it. As any deeper wounds around value, worth, economy, practicality, and nurture, especially for the body, makes themselves known. Not to pick at the metaphorical scab, but appreciate what we have discovered about ourselves within them. Healing, and what this actually means. Not through removal, but integration, wholeness, completion, and in this, natural change. Which, with Venus moving into Libra on the 3rd and Mercury entering Leo on the 9th, brings matters of the heart up for communication, beyond stubborn, fixed ultimatums to the need for more honesty and in this balance. Aligning their dates numerically with the triple vibration of 369, a spiral, coordinated, clarifying directional frequency, there is great encouragement here to take what has been experienced, restore harmony, and create the conversations needed to reflect or embody this. Some things, people, scenarios, ways of being are ready to move on through the appreciation of wisdom gained from their place in our lives. Others are just at the beginning. This is less about positioning and whether we are collectively capable of holding space for both. In the simple realization, they're one and the same. Continuous flows of change, evolution, the life-death awareness that supports momentum through, not for, us. From here we get to decide what was, is, and always will be the basis of all we choose to know in the experiences we are willing, or not, as the case may be, to receive. Following this, with the moon entering Cancer a day before the eclipse, there is an invitation to be with what we feel, and from here truly decide what is needed, the direction we would like to go, by listening to the emotions or understanding within us. The at times silence, often hoarse power, regardless of the vehicle we long for, be that the body or the car, that despite being linked to strength and endurance this year was never solely about force. Charging forward regardless, fire for the pure sake of transformation, but opening ourselves to the expansive reality of whether what we were focusing on could truly keep us warm, soft, relaxed, gentle to the one truth within all things. Her voice that questions whether we have actually removed the masks left over from every personal pandemic, or merely changed their application. Offering a chance to reflect on the importance of relationships, our own included, if we wish to truly be known and seen, whilst appreciating where we may have been sacrificing the self, as well as encouraging different ways to create, by showing what's on our mind, deepening awareness, and moving more intuitively, skillfully even, with anything we feel. Occurring in the lunar south node, this new moon asks if we are ready to let go of any manipulative approval-seeking ways, admitting instead where they, and in the process we, have prevented ourselves from stepping into who we really are. Initiating what it means to lead, create, shine, beyond recognition to good old-fashioned joy, freedom, innocence, even. Trining Saturn in Aries, this eclipse will expect answers, not only from the introspection available, but the level of commitment, energy, and focus we are willing to invest in our individual mirroring of it. So ask yourself, does it dim your potential? How much do you believe in your dreams? And what needs to be removed for them to happen? Only we can decide, for now. But remember, eclipses are often moments of fate or destiny that will divinely direct a course of action for the greater good, even if we may not be able to see it yet. With Mercury out of retrograde, talk without change is not only cheap, but continues to bargain the determination needed, which by the time the Sun enters Virgo on the 22nd, joined by this planet of communication 3 days later, will become much clearer in any solid plans being asked of us within everyday actions. Inviting many to honour health through more holistic intentions in order to identify inefficiencies, make adjustments and nurture any systems that remain, promoting a more than ready supportive foundation for the lives that will become increasingly defined by the end of the month with a completing full moon eclipse in Pisces. Over the next 4 weeks, Lionsgate portal aside, which ironically, on the more palatable frequency of 8-8, has very little occurring in the skies, there will be shifts that redirect us back onto the straight and more streamlined narrow, so to speak, expecting us to question familiar assumptions and ideas about who we are, whilst preparing for rapid adaptations to our external, ever-changing circumstances that we find ourselves part of, suggesting we offer courage, compassion, and leadership from the heart. Appreciating underneath what may at first seem inconvenient is here to liberate any long-standing limitations we have outgrown, allowing inevitably personal ambition and collective awareness to help us go the extra mile by acting, releasing, reflecting, and receiving, all in the equal measure of change, what receptivity has always been. Happening at 20 degrees of Leo in the third deck and linked to the Seven of Wands from the Tarot, this is the bravest, most uncompromising, non-hesitant position of fierce determination and presence of 2026 so far. The portal of the royal self opening from within. A ring of transformation that suggests we look at where any crowns of consciousness may have slipped, especially in our own attention, and make the decisions that every trial we have encountered has been leading us towards. On the global stage, with Mercury also opposing Pluto and Venus doing the same with Neptune, we could see intricate communications around shadow corruptions, particularly regarding celebrity mindsets, encouraging us on the individual level to observe where our focus is going and why, who we are when asked to step up, and whether we can balance strength over blind following, especially with our own arrogance. Remember, authority on what we know, whilst a vehicle for change, must be reflected through inner worth, not brute force. Be mindful where tyranny becomes mistaken for power, especially regarding blame, revenge, jealousy, or separation, and seek instead the wisdom this has replaced in order to truly defend what matters. Realizing, of course, first what this actually is to you, and then avoiding the egoic struggles that may come in to prevent such vulnerability. That being said, it isn't all darkness and light. There is a joyful place in between it, beyond the knee-jerk reaction of trickery to the remembrance of chaos magic, that as Venus trines Pluto and Uranus, supports connections to more creative expressions, encouraging us to remember what it means to play with this wisdom, because innovative ideas offer more space to flourish, providing an openness towards diversity, social construct shifts, and overall lasting transformations in the way we choose to see things. Never forget, it's one thing to know, another to do, right? Overall, this eclipse period is a chance to define our principles, hold our ground, stand firm in our convictions, whilst appreciating that truth does not need defending, merely a chance to be heard, often by ourselves. Occurring on the 12th of August at 1837 in the UK, exploring the vibrational frequencies of the Magi, Empress, Chariot, Strength, Hermit, Wheel of Fortune, Moon, Judgment, World, and Emperor overall. Only in seeing the vision we are creating, honestly, can we find the courage to change what needs alchemizing, particularly in the views we have of ourselves in and of the world, if we wish to move past the cyclic illusions that have overshadowed our light with endurance rather than experience. May we each realize in unlearning all we have discovered, the restrictions of our actions are no longer taught. In deepest munay, I ask you now, what about what you can't unknow? You know where I am. Take care. Kirsty.